Let me tell you my view on reparations. You've got Barack Obama essentially saying white people were an impediment to reparations. I actually agree with Barack Obama that a lot of the country was built on the backs of slaves, particularly in the South, a lot of the economy. I don't think there's any denying it. We shouldn't deny that fact. There's no reason to deny an inconvenient truth that is used as an argument for reparations, but just because it is so doesn't justify reparations. Reparations is the latest scheme from the woke social justice warriors of the left. It is designed to repay Black Americans for a history that involves not just slavery, but after the Civil War, an effort to segregate them out of society, Jim Crow laws and the like. Yes, it is true that there were put in place systems over time that kept Black Americans from acquiring wealth at the rate that white Americans have acquired wealth. But our society is in a better place now than it was then. And there are a lot of people on the left who say, well, you've got to not just give me equality, but equity. And equity is a subtle moving of the goalposts, where equality is a Black person and a white person have equal standing now before the law and equal operation. But what the left says is, but a Black person has been so historically discriminated against that we must now give something to them to get them up to where white people currently are, essentially imparting some level of fairness. But fairness is in the eye of the beholder. If you are a immigrant to this country, or you are a third generation immigrant to this country, exactly how is it your responsibility for what the people who were Americans before you did? The left would argue, well, you've benefited from that system. Well, also, Black Americans have benefited from the hundreds of thousands of Union soldiers who laid down their lives to get them freedom. And Black Americans have benefited from the struggles that people Black and white gave to advance equality in this country. To obtain equality and say, well, now it's really not unless we redistribute from some and give to others, all that does is foster resentment. And to that, I think Barack Obama's right. It does foster a level of resentment to redistribute the wealth one has acquired on his own, and said, well, you didn't really do that. There's this entire system in place that's no longer in place, but it used to be in place, and you, even though you didn't realize you benefited from it, you did benefit from it, and we need to redistribute what you got to other people who didn't benefit as you benefited, even though they now could. You are playing with fire when it comes to the idea of reparations. White House senior advisor Cedric Richmond told Axios on HBO that it's doable for President Biden to make first-term progress on breaking down barriers for people of color while Congress studies reparations for slavery. Biden said on the campaign trail he supports the creation of a commission to study and develop proposals for reparations, direct payments for African Americans. A House panel heard testimony on the legislation last week. I think the creation of a commission will pass, Richmond said. Richmond said that while the timeline for the commission isn't knowable, if you start talking about free college tuition to historically Black colleges and universities, and you start talking about free community college in Title I and all those things, I think you're well on your way. We have to start breaking down systemic racism and barriers that have held people of color back, and especially African Americans. We have to do stuff now. Here's the fun thing. Joe Biden is a master politician, say what you will about him. And Joe Biden understands when you punt things to committees, they allow you a talking point without having to actually give you a policy that a lot of your supporters might not like. So Joe Biden can say, we're going to have a commission to study reparations, knowing that puts it off and makes it someone else's problem. But not only that, it allows them to come up with an unworkable bureaucratic solution that can then be picked apart by both sides in Congress as splitting the baby. The left wants action on this. Now, there's a problem for the left that has to be overcome. In this country, Americans believe in equality. Some don't. Most of us do. When you give some people, because of the color of their skin, free tuition in college, paid for by the federal government, solely based on their skin color, that's not equality. When you start giving assistance to people based on the color of their skin. That's not equality. That's why the Democratic Party is rapidly moving towards an idea of equity. The problem is that equality is baked into the Constitution. We are all equal before the law. Equity is not baked into the Constitution. In fact, equity is anathema to the Constitution when you're taking from some to give to others. And it fosters greater resentment. You need to understand, this is why so much of the left right now is heckling and bullying, is targeting people over ideas like white guilt and white shame and white fragility, because they need people to be censored and keep their mouths shut so no one in the public square will speak up against their agenda. If you weren't here in the first hour of this program, a man called who works for a company that is requiring its employees to read a book on what it's like to be black and social justice from someone who said in 2016, if you voted for Donald Trump, not only are you racist, but your grandparents were racist. You're descended from racism if you voted for Donald Trump. But his company is advancing this issue as a way to protect the company from the wokes. Boko Haram, the terrorist organization of social justice warriors that rampages across this country, has hijacked Fortune 500 companies, and many of them live in fear of Boko Haram's agenda. And one of Boko Haram's agendas is reparations. And they understand that in order to get to reparations, what must happen is a badgering, a bullying, and a censoring, and a silencing of anyone who opposes the idea of reparations. You've got to have people silenced and cowered and unable to point out that, look at how many people died to free the slaves. How many white people in America died to free slaves? The Battle Hymn of the Republic. He died to make men holy. Let us die to make men free. The words were changed over time. Let us live to make men free. But notwithstanding the sentiment, let us die to make men free. That was the original line in the Battle Hymn of the Republic. A comparison of the Union cause to Christ dying to make men holy, make men free, and hundreds of thousands of Americans died to make men free. And more rose up and stood for equality. We're not a perfect country. I know a lot of Americans think, well, we're perfect. Well, I think we're better than all the other countries. And if we lose this country, there's nowhere else for free people to go. But we are a free people. And we have come so far. The idea that the country is still systemically racist should be anathema to every American. But the left must advocate the idea and get you to believe the idea to advance their agenda. The Biden administration is dabbling into this. They're playing with fire because here's the thing. Reparations is not going to pass Congress. There will be a backlash to the idea of reparations if this gets too much steam. You will have people around the country voting against reparations, and you know what the left will do? Well, proof, you're all racist. How dare you not give me your hard-earned money? How dare you deny me your property that you fairly acquired through your own merit and sweat equity? How dare you not give it to me who has not earned it? Well, it was systematic racism that kept me from earning it. Forget my life choices. Oh, and see, they'll come for me for this. They'll come for all of us for this. This has nothing to do with white versus black. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the left trying to undermine the fundamental dynamics of the United States. And those of you who've bought into the idea of systemic racism in this country at this moment in the 21st century need to understand you are buying into an idea and a philosophy that is antithetical to the American experience and that is deeply hostile to the American ideal. It is perpetuated by Marxist academics, and I don't use that term lightly. It is the truth. Critical theory is derived from Marxist thought. Marxist thought is antithetical to the American experience because in Marxist thought, equity is a thing that the communists impose on people. In this country, We are supposed to dismantle systemic racism and injustice so that people really are equal. And you are ignorant of our history if you cannot say we've made real progress. We, in fact, have made tremendous progress in this country. Are we perfect? No. Are we better than we were? You're damn right we are. And should you be able to take from someone else in the name of someone's non-forefathers but who shared the same skin color treating you badly? No, hell no, you shouldn't be able to do that. That is an unfairness. The idea that a third-generation American immigrant should have his wealth confiscated from him to give to someone else because that person's ancestors were treated badly by people not related to that guy is absurd.